Gabrielle was in the kitchen, sipping her coffee as the morning light flickered across the walls, painting delicate shadows. The comforting scent of coffee permeated the air, a small comfort amidst recent tensions. From the bedroom, the sounds of Andrew packing echoed through the apartment. "Since you can't take time off, I'm heading to the seaside alone," he stated, pausing in the kitchen entrance without meeting her gaze. Gabrielle stood motionless, clutching her coffee cup, her heart heavy with sorrow. She said nothing, feeling the weight of their shattered plans like splinters under her skin. Despite her inner turmoil, she kept her emotions hidden. "All right," she murmured, gazing out the window. A new chapter unfolds. Andrew persisted. "We've been planning this vacation for 6 months. I can't just cancel it because of your work." "I only suggested postponing it for a week," Gabrielle replied calmly, though her frustration was clear. "You always say that. Just 1 more week, 1 more month. I'm tired of your job always coming first," her husband snapped, his eyes filled with annoyance and determination. Gabrielle looked at him, searching for any sign of understanding, but found none. "You didn't even try to reschedule," she noted. "You didn't suggest we take a trip together later." "Because I know that even a week from now it will be the same story," he retorted. "You'll always find a reason to put our life on hold." Gabrielle took a deep breath, knowing from experience that arguing was futile. "He's made up his mind," she thought, and said aloud, "When do you leave?" "In 3 hours. I've already booked a taxi," he replied, not bothering to ask if she was all right with his decision. On the first day, she waited for his call, hoping he might miss her and regret his words. The call never came. Instead, a photo appeared on Instagram. "Finally free. Dream vacation." By the second day, she noticed her phone battery lasted longer than usual. No need to constantly check for missed calls or messages. No need to respond to endless questions about his socks, clean clothes, dinner plans, etc. By the third day, the pain had subsided. Andrew's departure had lifted a burden she hadn't realized she was carrying. The solitude in the empty apartment felt liberating. At work, she threw herself into her tasks with renewed energy, making up for the cancelled vacation. She stayed late, took on additional projects and found solace in the quiet office. "Gabrielle, are you all right?" her boss, Mr. Williams, asked, finding her working late again. "You've been staying late for 3 days straight." "I just want to finish the quarterly report ahead of schedule," the woman replied, rubbing her tired eyes. "You should be resting, not working around the clock," he said, sitting on the edge of her desk. "Your husband went to the beach without you, and you're here wearing yourself out?" Gabrielle froze. Is everyone in the office discussing her personal life? She wondered. "Come on, don't look so surprised," Mr. Williams said, waving his hand dismissively. "He's been spamming his feed with photos. Every hour a new one." She couldn't help but check her phone. Indeed, Andrew's Instagram was filled with snapshots. Him on the beach with a cocktail, in a bar with a lively crowd, taking selfies with tanned women. "What if I quit?" she asked suddenly, surprising even herself. "Are you serious?" Mr. Williams stammered. "Gabrielle, you're one of our best specialists. If it's about the vacation, we can—" "No," she interrupted, shaking her head. "It's not about the vacation. I just realized that for the past 7 years I've been living someone else's life." That evening, she wrote her resignation letter. During her university years, Gabrielle had studied art history, dreaming of travelling the world to see great masterpieces in person, not just in textbook reproductions. She envisioned herself wandering the narrow streets of small French towns, sketchbook in hand. Then Andrew came along, vibrant, confident and sure of himself. Andrew, a prosperous lawyer, had meticulously mapped out his life, securing a stable income and a clear trajectory. Beside him, Gabrielle's aspirations in art management seemed like the whimsical dreams of a child. "Art management? Really?" he'd chuckle. "Who needs a degree like that?" His pragmatic voice echoed in her mind, urging her to face reality. "In our country we need to be more practical," he'd say, and she agreed. She took a position at a prominent corporation, climbing the career ladder and leaving her sketchbooks to gather dust. So now, in his absence, she ventured into the attic and found her old sketchbook, its pages yellowed but largely untouched. The brushes were dry, the paints cracked from years of neglect, but as her fingers traced the thick paper, something within her stirred, a spark of creativity long suppressed. She began to draw again, tentatively at first, as if relearning the art of holding a pencil. Her lines were hesitant, but with each stroke her confidence grew. Cityscapes emerged from her memories, portraits of strangers came to life, and still lifes of fruit on the kitchen table captured fleeting moments of beauty. Each mark on the page brought her closer to her authentic self, a self she had almost forgotten. As she delved deeper into her art, memories of her youth resurfaced. She recalled her dreams of visiting France, where art and history intertwined in a breathtaking tapestry. The longing to immerse herself in that world, to breathe the same air as the masters, suddenly felt within reach. With a heart brimming with renewed passion and a spirit eager for adventure, Gabrielle realized her dreams were closer than ever. The path to France, to her true self, lay before her, beckoning. Why not? She thought. She had savings, a rainy day fund she'd been building for years. She had time, now that she was no longer bound to the office. Most importantly, she had the desire to truly live. Without hesitation, she bought a one-way ticket to Paris. On the 10th day, Andrew returned home, expecting to find Gabrielle waiting for him. Tanned and content, he held a souvenir bottle of cheap wine. "Honey, I'm home. Look what I brought you," he said, stepping into the apartment. But instead of familiar warmth, he found emptiness. The wardrobe was half empty, and on the table lay an envelope. "Don't wait for me. My long vacation has started." He read the note over and over, struggling to comprehend. He called Gabrielle, but the number was unreachable. His messages went unread. He reached out to friends, her parents and colleagues. No one knew anything, or so they claimed. Meanwhile, Gabrielle was sharing photos from the winding streets of Paris on social media, her eyes gleaming with a joy not seen in years. She sat in a small cafe, sketchbook open, the sun dancing in her hair. Behind her, the Eiffel Tower stood proudly. Beside her espresso lay a sketch of an old Frenchman playing the accordion. "The first day of my new life," the woman captioned it, with the hashtag "finally free." Andrew felt a mix of jealousy and resentment as he scrolled through the photos. How could she be happy without him? He dialed his friend Kenneth's number. "Kenneth, you won't believe what she did," he began, his voice tense. "She packed her things and left, didn't even warn me." "And didn't you do the same, Kenneth?" Andrew's friend asked calmly, his words piercing through his indignation. "What do you mean? I went on vacation. I even bought her souvenirs," Andrew retorted. "Andrew, she asked you to wait a week so you could go together. You refused," Kenneth pointed out. "Well, because she always puts work first," Andrew countered. "She resigned from her job to be with you, and you left." Kenneth's voice was laced with irony. Andrew was stunned. "Gabrielle quit? When? Why didn't she tell me?" She called Anya for advice before quitting, the day after you left, Kenneth revealed. Andrew sank onto the couch, grappling with the revelation. While he revelled in his freedom, Gabrielle had been making significant life changes. "What do I do now?" he asked, feeling lost. "I don't know, buddy," Kenneth sighed, "but it looks like you really messed up." Andrew stood in the empty apartment, realizing he had lost more than a life partner. He had lost someone who was willing to make sacrifices for him, who endured his selfishness, and who saw the best in him even when he couldn't see it himself. Meanwhile, Gabrielle embraced her new life in Paris. She sat on the balcony of her rented apartment, capturing the cityscape with her brush. The gentle French morning sun warmed her as the aroma of fresh bread wafted from a nearby bakery. Her phone buzzed with another message from Andrew, one of the many over the past week. Initially angry and accusatory, they went unanswered as she focused on her newfound freedom and happiness. "How could you do this to me? You've ruined our family." Then Andrew's messages shifted from accusations to pleading. "Please come back. Let's talk about this. I've come to my senses. I'll change." And finally his tone grew more insistent. "I'm flying to Paris. We need to talk." Gabrielle read the messages, feeling a mix of emotions. A pang of guilt, a flicker of anger, but mostly a sense of resolve. She had made her choice, and it was time to stand by it. Returning to her sketch, she added delicate strokes, capturing the interplay of light and shadow on the ancient walls. These days felt like awakening from a long hibernation. The world around her burst into vivid colours, sounds and scents, each moment savoured with a hunger long forgotten. That evening she attended a gathering of local artists, drawn by a notice at a cafe. The small gallery buzzed with creative energy, filled with people of diverse ages and backgrounds, all discussing art with passion. Gabrielle felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced in years. "Are these your sketches?" an older Frenchman asked, leafing through her sketchbook. "You have talent, young lady." "Thank you," she replied, a slight blush on her cheeks. "I'm just starting out." "At your age, Michelangelo had already sculpted the Pieta," he chuckled, "but it's never too late to begin. I'm Louis. I teach at the art school. Come by tomorrow if you like." Gabrielle felt a spark of excitement. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with possibilities and the promise of artistic growth. What began as a week's escape in Paris blossomed into a month, then an entire semester. Andrew, driven by desperation and regret, eventually flew to Paris to find Gabrielle. He tracked her down through her vibrant social media posts and stood at her doorstep, clutching a bouquet of roses, their scent mingling with the crisp air. "Gabrielle, we need to talk," he said as she opened the door, his voice tinged with a mix of hope and anxiety. "All right," she replied calmly, stepping aside to let him in. Her voice was steady, devoid of the bitterness or resentment he might have expected. Instead, it carried the tranquility of someone who had found inner peace amidst the chaos. Andrew took a deep breath, his rehearsed speech tumbling out. "I was selfish. I didn't appreciate you or see how much you sacrificed for us. I'm sorry, Gabrielle. Please, let's start over." Gabrielle looked at him, seeing the man she had once loved, handsome, confident, charismatic. But she also saw the stark contrast between the person he was and the woman she had become. Her journey to Paris had awakened something within her, a strength and clarity that had long been suppressed. "No, Andrew," she said softly, her voice filled with a quiet resolve. "We can't start over, because I'm not the same woman I was. I've found myself, the real me, and I cherish this woman. For the first time in years, I feel truly alive." Andrew's expression darkened, his voice rising in frustration. "Gabrielle, this is ridiculous. You can't just throw away 10 years of marriage because of some whim." Gabrielle shook her head, a sad smile playing on her lips. "You still don't understand, do you? My dreams, my aspirations, they were never just whims to me. But to you, my life was always secondary, an appendage to yours. That's how it's always been. I filed for divorce," she said, her voice steady and sure. "The papers will arrive soon." As she spoke, she felt a sense of liberation, knowing that she was finally choosing herself, embracing the life she had always yearned for. The path ahead was uncertain, but it was hers to define, and she was ready to walk it with courage and conviction. "You can't do this," he grabbed her shoulders. "I love you." "And I loved you," she replied gently. "But love shouldn't demand sacrifice. True love gives freedom. You never gave me that." Andrew froze, looking at the woman before him. She had changed, not outwardly, but within. Her eyes, her posture, her voice, all radiated a newfound dignity and strength he had never noticed before. "Goodbye, Andrew," she said softly, gently freeing herself from his grasp. "I hope you find your happiness." Andrew stepped out of Gabrielle's apartment, the blazing Paris noon sun momentarily blinding him. Around him, tourists captured memories against the backdrop of old buildings. Street musicians filled the air with melodies of love, and artists sketched portraits of passers-by. He stood amidst the bustling scene, feeling an unfamiliar sense of loss. He had lost more than just a wife. He had lost a future he had taken for granted, the certainty that his world was the centre of everything, and the right to be the focal point of someone's universe. Meanwhile, Gabrielle had discovered a profound freedom, the freedom to be herself, to chase her dreams, and to love herself as deeply as she once loved him. Her Instagram featured a new photo. Gabrielle standing before the Fontaine Medici, her smile radiant as she tossed a coin over her shoulder. The caption read, "They say if you throw a coin, you're sure to return to Paris. But I have no plans to leave." Hashtagged with "My eternal love" and "New life." It was a testament to her newfound joy and independence. As Andrew wandered the streets, the weight of his realization settled in. He had underestimated the strength and resilience of the woman he had married, and in doing so, he had lost something far more precious than he had ever imagined.